Today's video is a little bit of a re-review. This is the Evil Dead 2 2024 by Rivington Brewing and Chain House. But what's it going to be like? Keep watching to find out. Welcome back to Rocker's Beer Review. I'm starting to lose my voice a little bit here, so probably I need a little bit of liquid refreshment. And I would have thought this one will be a pretty good start. So this is a Evil Dead 2. I reviewed this about a year ago. In fact, it was about end of November it was, even though this is a sort of, Halloween themed beer. And I'm now reviewing it at the end of November. This video will come out in December, but this is Evil Dead 2. It's a double IPA 8%. Hops wise, it has got Galaxy, Nelson Sauvin, Idaho 7 Cryo, Galaxy Spectrum, and Nelson Sauvin in Hop Kiev. Now, I had a quick look at the review, the beginning of the review that I did last year, and the hops I said on that were Galaxy, Galaxy Nelson, and Idaho 7, but I didn't say anything about Cryo or Galaxy Spectrum, and it didn't have the Hop Kiev in it. So slightly different this year, but the same sort of trio of hops, Galaxy, Nelson Sauvin, and Idaho 7. But this was my double IPA of the year, so I've got high hopes this is going to be as good. I've had it a few weeks prior to actually drinking it. I've got it the right temperature, so let's crack it open and get it in the glass and see what it's all about. I mean, since in that year, I've drank quite a lot of double IPAs, and some of them some very good ones. I do remember this one being really, really good. I had this one, and then I remember in January, after having this in November, I had their what was it called? Was it Blood Machines? Blood Machines, or there was another. I think it was Blood Machines. Yeah, Blood Machines. And I remember that being a great double IPA as well. But anyway, beer in a glass. Well, this is what you're looking for, isn't it? Beautiful golden Karamak custardy coloured beer. 2 fingers, and that's pretty compacted. Although there's a few leaves bubbles around the edge. Looks pretty damn good in the glass. Let's see what the aroma's like. Oh yeah, smells really incredible. So you get that slight savoury note. You're getting the grape and the gooseberry. The Idaho 7, which brings a little bit a bit of tea, a bit of earthiness to the beer. And Galaxy that sort of wallops you around the chops really with this sort of dank, overripened mango, stone fruits like apricot, peach and stuff like that. Smells really good. Let's see what it tastes like. Cheers everyone. Yeah, that's good. Lovely and smooth, creamy, velvety, a little bit oily, I suppose, in terms of the texture of the mouthfeel, but it's exactly what you want from a double IPA, mouthfeels wise. Flavour. It's a little bit of warmth. I mean, it's very hoppy. So again, I think actually it's not warmth. It's hoppiness. There's a lot of hops gone into this beer. Galaxy's almost like hitting the hardest on this beer. What was Galaxy is the lead hop. So we're getting a big hit of Galaxy. You're getting that sort of dankness. You get the apricot, mango, bit of passion fruit. More of those sort of very strong flavoured stone fruits, opposed to sort of lighter peach nectarines sort of thing. The Nelson Sauvin sort of is in there in the background, but it's a little bit subtle. You're getting a little bit of that weediness coming through, lemongrass, the sort of little bit of a hit of gooseberry, melon, kiwi fruit, that sort of stuff. It's not as bright as sometimes you can get with a Nelson Sauvin. The Galaxy is taking it down a dark, evil route. Hence why it's called Evil Dead, maybe. Yeah, there's that flavour. Well, I think actually as it sort of develops, you get then more of the sort of grapefruit and a real sharpness of grapefruit. I don't know if it was last year I said this because I didn't watch the whole review through. but I'm sure I've said this about an IPA or a double IPA, but grapefruit is a flavour that you get quite a lot with beer, IPAs and New England IPAs and double IPAs. But the grapefruit flavour in this almost tastes like it's got real grapefruit. It's almost as if you're eating a fleshy piece of grapefruit. That's what it really tastes like. Sometimes the grapefruit you get is that sort of sharpness, the bitterness, or maybe your mind plays tricks on you in that it's a citrusy sort of flavour and it's quite strong, so you're thinking grapefruit. But this almost has the real grapefruit flavour in it, which I'm not sure why that is. Maybe it is the Idaho 7. I haven't had Idaho 7 in a beer for a while. I think it is because when you start thinking about that grapefruit and analysing it, you think, yeah, remember the Idaho 7 is all about black tea. And I know you think black tea, you know, I know when I drink hops like Nelson Sauvin, I'll drink it and I go, yeah, I'm expecting gooseberry and grape. And so my mind tells me I'm probably tasting that more than I actually taste it. But you're definitely getting that sort of earthiness as well in the grapefruit flavour. And that tea is a very good way of describing it, black tea. It's got slightly bitter, slightly earthy, very flavoursome, but not bright and fresh and fruity, really. There's that other sort of flavour in there. It's a very well put together double IPA. I mean, you'd expect nothing less from Rivington. Is it the greatest double IPA? Is it the double IPA of the year, like I said last year? I don't think so. I think some people will drink this and they'll say it's incredible, and it is an incredible beer, but it's a little bit too earthy for me. It's a little bit too sweaty, dank. Now, a lot of people are going to love that. The mouthfeel is incredible. I mean, even now when I'm drinking it, you know, the head is well retained. There's a nice lacing of the glass. You can look at that and you can imagine what that's going to feel like on the, you know, in terms of mouthfeel, and it is spot on. Absolutely, I couldn't think of a better mouthfeel sort of than this. This is what you want. But the flavours are a little bit on the sort of sweaty and dank, really. That's all I can say to describe them. Yes, there's stone fruits in there. Yes, there's all that sort of Nelson lemongrass, gooseberry, grape wine, that sort of flavour coming through. Then there's sort of like, as you said, this sort of grapefruit sort of on the back end, and then you're left with this sort of dry bitterness in the mouth, which is, it's almost like if you just drank a black tea. I mean, who drinks black tea? You've got to be a bloody maniac to drink black tea. But, you know, you drink black tea and it's like, it's a very harsh tea flavour. You know, it's that harsh. That's why we always put milk in tea, because it's quite a harsh flavour. And you are getting that on the back end here. So I think a pure double IPA connoisseur, and I know you guys are out there and probably watching this channel, I think this would be up there with one of your favourite double IPAs. It is very, very good. For me, though, I like a little bit more brightness, a little bit more refreshment almost. I mean, I know we're talking about 8% double IPA, so refreshment, you know, sometimes you don't think about that, but I just want something a little bit lighter and brighter in terms of flavour. Mouthfeel spot on. I just want a bit more, probably lemons, or I want a lighter sort of fruit flavour, because I think it's Idaho 7. I think that's what that's coming through there. It's leaving the palate very dry. It's leaving this sort of bitterness. It's not piney bitterness, but it's definitely a sort of a tea bitterness. That's what it is. And then you go and have another mouthful and you get a little bit of a hit of flavour, juice sort of flavour, but it's there. And then you're getting some of the weediness coming in, the lemongrass, sort of the grapefruit's coming in, the sort of that slightly savoury sort of note. So it is a very well brewed beer. I think a lot of people would find this an exceptional beer. I'd be surprised. I don't know what the untapped is for this, but I would be surprised if it isn't. It's certainly sort of 4.2 and that roundabout that sort of level. I think it is a very, very good double IPA. I tell you though, it is similar to something like Putty that comes out every year. So I think this is a very, if you haven't had this and you've had Putty, this is very similar. I think it reminds me a lot of it. I think that's Galaxy Azaka and Citra. It's not. I don't think it's got Nelson Sauvin in it. I don't think it's got Idaho 7 in it. It's probably a little bit more weedy and a little bit more dank than even Putty is. But it's that quality. You know you're drinking a very well brewed beer, a complex beer, a beer with a beginning, a middle, and an end. It's a very good beer. So let's get some scores. Okay, the scores are in for Evil Dead 2 from Rivington Brewing Company, Chain House Brewing Company. It's a double IPA, 8% with Idaho 7 in various in cryo and normal. We've got Galaxy Spectrum, we've got normal Galaxy, we've got Nelson Sauvin, and we've got Nelson Sauvin Hop Keef. I think it's slightly different than last year's version. It's a little bit more, I don't want to say poor punchy, but it doesn't make it necessarily a better beer. So let's go for the scores, starting with aroma, appearance, flavour, value for money. Now I can't remember how much this was. I'm just going to see, because I'm sure I've got my price list here as I knock everything over. There it is, £6.50. And that's why it's value for money. I mean, it's a very well put together beer, and it's 8%. It's a double IPA, and I can pay £7.50. So £6.50 is probably, I would probably say it's a good price for a double IPA. And then finally, my overall experience. Tighten the scores up. It's not quite as amazing as it was last year, but I think maybe my palate's maybe changed a little bit, but it's still a highly recommended 80 out of 100. So just about got into highly recommended. And I think for me, that's fair. I think other people would probably easily could give it into the sort of 80, 85s and thereabouts, because my overall experience, 13 is quite a low score for a very good beer. If it was like 15, 16, you're going to be going up to, 82, 83, and that's where the very high double IPAs come. But it's still a very good beer. Let me know if you've had it, what you think. If you can remember what it was last year, do you think it's better, the same, worse? Let me know in the comments. Yeah, but it's definitely worth buying. If you can find it and you like what I've described, then I think you'll really like it. So that's enough for me today. Hope you enjoyed the video. Please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe if you're not a subscriber. And until the next one, you know what you're going to do. Drink good craft beer and keep on rocking.